Alu from Keswick Village. This is the Rorschach Arctic Update from the 12th of August, 2025. A quick summary of what's going down north of the Arctic Circle. Amid the shifting political tides in the Arctic Ocean, China laid down a significant marker of its northern power this week. On Thursday, the 7th, shipping news agency G-Captain reported that China has deployed 5 ice-breaking research vessels to the high Arctic near Alaska. This marks the first time that China has ever operated more than 3 icebreakers in the Arctic simultaneously, and comes on the heels of the U.S. attempting to increase the size of its own icebreaker fleet. With this statement, China is sending a message to the U.S. that they are currently the more dominant maritime nation in the far north. The U.S.'s ice-breaking fleet needs urgent additions, and the country is turning to Finland for help. On Thursday the 5th, Reuters reported that Alexander Stubb, Finland's president, spoke with Donald Trump the day prior on different matters, including the purchase of 15 icebreakers from Finland. Trump has previously stated he wants the U.S. to acquire 40 new icebreakers to boost his country's Arctic presence. Finland is in pole position to earn billions from Trump's Arctic ambitions. On Sunday, the 10th, the U.S. Coast Guard revealed its first new polar icebreaker in 25 years, the newly rechristened Storrs. Troy Edgar, Deputy Secretary of the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, spoke at Storrs' unveiling, saying, quote, "We're really just preparing to build our Arctic fighting force," end quote. The Storrs was purchased for $125 million by the former Biden administration from a private shipholder in 2024. But after extensive repairs and upgrades, the U.S. can celebrate its first icebreaker in decades. Staying in the U.S., the Alaskan economy has news, as the Alaska Department of Labor has released a new report on the health of the state's economy in 2024. The overall picture seems good as Alaska finally regained the jobs it lost during the COVID-19 pandemic, and wages increased at a rate higher than inflation. Oil and mining projects have seen huge growth, and tourism is holding steady. But this good news doesn't extend to Alaska's fishing industry. From 2023 to 2024, fisheries lost 13% of their jobs and wages fell between 17%. These losses affect indigenous communities disproportionately, with 25% of jobs in the eastern Aleutian Islands lost in 2024 alone. Nunavut in northern Canada has good economic news to celebrate. On Thursday, the 7th, the Tourism Association of the region, Travel Nunavut, published its 2024 economic assessment. Last year, the territory's travel industry had an almost $600 million output and supported over 6,000 jobs, more than doubling in size since 2019. These impressive figures make tourism now the second largest industry in the Arctic Canadian region, only behind mining. In 2023, Travel Nunavut said they hoped the industry would hit about $700 million by 2030. If this growth keeps moving at the current rate, the ambitious target might be hit much sooner than ever thought. Tourism in Greenland is causing more frustration than joy among some locals, though. On Tuesday, the 5th, The Guardian reported on how cruise tourism is dividing opinions in the northern Greenlandic town of Ilulissat. Ilulissat has been seeing thousands of tourists pass through their waters on board cruise ships in recent years. But the cruise companies that arrange the voyages have been excluding local businesses, ensuring that they do not benefit at all from the influx of visitors. Lars Erik Gabrielsen, Ilulissat's mayor, has called on residents to protest against the cruise ship arrivals with demonstrations and signs in effort to ensure that business returns to his town. Protests and conflicts are on the rise elsewhere in Greenland, too. On Tuesday, the 5th, news agency High North News reported on a new independence movement brewing in the country. Not about separating Greenland from Denmark, though. This one is about Eastern Greenland seceding from the rest of the country. A new political party, the Party for an Independent East Greenland, has been set up by Mike and Annette Nicolaisen, who say that their government has concentrated all of its efforts and resources on the more populated West Coast. They argue that this has left Eastern Greenland to suffer from rising unemployment, poor education, and deteriorating infrastructure. The Nicolisans say they want to make the East Coast a place where their children can grow up healthy and happy and are willing to spark an independence movement to do so. Let's go to Sweden, where there are hopes of a boost of the green energy transition. On Thursday the 7th, Reuters reported that the U.S. startup Lighten has agreed to buy most of the bankrupt Swedish battery maker Northvolt. Northvolt was once considered Europe's answer to Chinese dominance in the electric battery market, and with its flagship plant located in Skellefteå in northern Sweden, this has also brought an economic boost to Arctic Sweden. But the company went bankrupt in March due to financial struggles. Lighten says the Skellefteå plant will resume business soon and be shipping batteries by next year, bringing much relief to those who lost their jobs in northern Sweden. What's growing in Iceland isn't business, but trees. On Wednesday, the 6th, Icelandic newspaper RÚV, Heartwood Afforested Land, a Dutch company, plans to cultivate about 2,000 hectares, 200 square kilometers, of forest in Iceland for carbon sequestration, timber use, and land restoration. This is important news as Iceland currently has only about 2% forest cover. Even though Iceland was once covered in forest, Vikings swiftly deforested the island, and the harsh Icelandic climate makes tree growth very difficult. Heartwood has purchased 2 areas of land in western Iceland in Víkingavatn and Bakkafjörð, and aims to plant 5 different species of trees and create a self-sustaining forest that can be both an economic and ecological benefit to Iceland. Want to learn more about Iceland's forested past? Take a look at the link in the show notes. Forests are under threat of severe wildfires in Siberia, though. On Tuesday the 5th, the Russian Academy of Sciences Siberian branch said in a press release that wildfires in Siberia have been increasing in intensity over the last 20 years. The rise in fires has been attributed to the Arctic warming faster than anywhere else on Earth and climate change causing increasing anticyclonic activity in the atmosphere, which forms long-term droughts. The results of the wildfires aren't staying local to Siberia. The huge environmental changes brought on by repeated fires are causing permafrost degradation and changes in vegetation cover and soil hydrology. This then impacts the quality of air and water throughout northern Russia and increases global climate warming. In prehistoric news on Monday the 4th, a scientist from Bournemouth University published a study in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, revealing their discovery of a vast animal community that lived in the European Arctic 75,000 years ago. Animal remains in the Arctic older than 10,000 years old are incredibly rare due to the shifting climates, which cause them to deteriorate. But in the Arnequamgrada cave in northern Norway, researchers have found preserved bones from a huge range of species, from polar bears to puffins, from cod to collared lemmings, which have never been found in Scandinavia before. This discovery opens up our knowledge of a rarely seen world and lets us look into how animals have adapted to harsh Arctic conditions over millennia. From the oldest in northern Norway to the youngest, on Thursday the 8th, Norwegian broadcaster NRK reported that the Alta-Turneringen has kicked off. This is one of the largest youth football tournaments taking place in Alta in northern Norway, with almost 400 different teams from around the world invited to participate in more than 1,000 matches. And that's it for this week. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't worry, it's free. Send us your ideas at info@rorschach.com. Takus.